Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 93rd episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Well, Pride Month was fun, and it was great giving you guys some LGBT videos last month. Now I know Pride Month is over and everything, but I got one more film to talk about before we totally wrap this thing up. So today, we have a request from a subscriber. Big shout outs to Marlon Bellamy. He's been great watching and commenting on the videos. Thanks, bro. I'll be getting to the rest of your requests over the next few weeks. Like I've said, if you guys want a film review, just drop it in the comments. So Marlon requested a movie I swore on everything I saw before, but realized I somehow never saw this movie. How? How did I miss a black movie with the great Vin Rames in drag and the great Alfre Woodard as a drug addict? Well, somehow I did, and I gave my mom a hard time about never showing it to me. Holiday Heart was released in 2000, directed by Robert Townsend. It stars the great Vin Rames, who is a gay drag queen, Alfre Woodard, who plays a single mother drug addict, Jessica Reynolds as her daughter, and Michael T. Williamson as the drug dealer. Now, right away, we see this movie has a great cast of prominent black actors from the 90s and 2000s. Vin and Alfre are two of my favorite black actors from that time period, and before I get into this thing, their performances are to be highlighted. Now, this movie is one of those movies that when you watch it for the first time 24 years after its release, you will have a lot of thoughts run through your head initially. I will not lie. The first 20 minutes of this movie, it felt like a black Hallmark movie. The cinematography, the score, the way it paced, its framing, it feels very made for TV and a little corny when you first put it on. It came out in the early 2000s, but it feels like a mid 90s movie. I was like, boy, oh boy, this is going to be a watch. Luckily for me, I watch everything through and pay attention, so I didn't dismiss a film that, on the surface, felt like I could do without. But as you peel back its layers, whether those layers are big or small, deep or shallow, there are still layers to peel back, and that's what makes a good film. Now, make no mistake, this isn't a perfect movie by any means. I mean, it has a lot of flaws, but it's one of those movies that you watch with your mom or your family and everyone has a good time with. Now, let's talk about it a bit. Holiday Heart is about a gay man who is a drag performer named Holiday. He is in grieving of his partner and plans on fulfilling their dream of going to Paris. Holiday is played by legend Vin Rames, one of the most interesting actors we've ever had. Vin has played a variety of masculine and feminine roles, and he's done them all to perfection. He played Melvin from Baby Boy just a year after this, one of the most masculine roles of his career. He shows us his range here, and I promise you, with a lesser performance, this movie would not work at all. His commitment to this role and character shine through and brings this movie from a TV movie to feel like it's something worthy of the big screen. Holiday ends up helping a little girl whose mother is getting beaten and in distress, and he takes them into his home and gives them a life. Now, that's really the long and short of it. But the point of watching this movie is to shed light on human imperfections. Or at least that's what I took from it. Every character in this movie is severely flawed and have several things they need to work out for themselves. Some more than others. It's a film about choices and consequences. A film about being true to oneself and accepting people for who they are. A film about loss and grief. A film about faith. All the things that make for a tearjerker drama you'd enjoy with your grandma on a Sunday after church. Now, me being of more rebellious nature, when a movie like this gets me in my feelings, I know it's doing a good job. Holiday is grieving this whole movie. His lover is gone, and these ladies he takes into his home fill an empty void in his heart. A surrogate family that he didn't ask for and didn't know he needed. Holiday thinks that Paris is a solution to his problems, which just seems like a great place for him to go. A place where he can be himself and get away from all the reminders of his former life and love, and a place to start fresh. Now let's talk about Holiday for a minute. He's a big guy. Deep voice, muscular build, and has a lot of personality. He makes his money performing for his dedicated fans and truthfully lives a rather peaceful and fulfilled life despite his loss. He has a very big heart, and once you get past the beginning and into the meat of the story, he's a guy you cannot help but love. He's funny, caring, and quite charming. Rames' cadence, walk, talk, facial expressions all show he prepared for this film and steps up and delivers one of the more underrated performances in the world of black cinema. A religious man who is very devoted to his life, to his love, and his faith, and doesn't stray away from that. A man who lives by the teachings of the book and not a man who passes unjust judgment. He plays a man that can take all kinds of beatings and still will never give up on the ones he loves. Now let's talk about Wanda, played by the lovely Alfre Woodard. Alfre has made a great career playing Black Mom since the 90s. I mean, Love and Basketball was the same year as this movie. Crooklyn, for me, is my favorite movie with her playing a mom in it. But in this movie, I think she showed her range and abilities more than ever, playing an addict who just spirals further and further down that hole. A woman who normally looks very vibrant and wholesome appears so cold and lifeless in this, beaten and battered. I mean, she is literally the female Tyrone Biggums in this movie. Now, I personally think this is the best and most realistic character in this movie. I've known people like her. Drugs and the lifestyle have completely drained this woman of everything that made her who she is. She doesn't care about her daughter, her relationships, or anything for that matter. She takes it to levels I really didn't expect her to take it to here, and does some things in the end that I found so disgusting and truly put Alfre Woodard on a new level for me in acting. The two lead performances make this movie. Their chemistry was incredible as you see Holiday bond with Wanda and her daughter Nikki. The underlying theme in this movie is family, and it's probably the main one too. Everyone in this movie is looking for a family. Holiday, Nikki, Wanda, Silas the drug dealer. They all go through and put up with things that a lot of people wouldn't just for the sake of having family and not being alone. All of these characters have addictions or problems in one way or another. Whether it be a person, a substance, money, it's all there. The heart of this film is through the human condition and observations of real people. It shows us every walk in life all want the same things, from the hardest drug dealers to the softest drag queens. And although I'm more of a hardcore guy who likes dark themes that challenge life and what we should think about it, I did enjoy this film for a nice light-hearted film about family. I want to spoil just a little bit of the movie here just for a second. I think the thing that really makes this movie is the dynamic between the three-piece family. And I'm talking about Silas the drug dealer, Holiday, and Nikki. Now, Silas the drug dealer, played by Michael T. Williamson, is one of those characters in a movie you just detest for a while, and then by the end you're like, I think this might be my favorite character. He comes into the picture, a homophobic, drug-dealing asshole who leaves a changed man for the better. A man who ends up caring for a child who isn't his. A man who ends up changing his ways and perspectives on things for the better, and ends up being a positive influence in the life of Nikki and Holiday. In a weird way, although it isn't sexual, Silas kind of replaces Holiday's dead lover. He is the strong masculine type like his lover was. When Wanda leaves again, Silas and Holiday step up to take care of Nikki, and they have their own little family. It's a little strange, but she does even say at one point, I have two parents now. And she really does. I thought this was the strongest writing in the film. These two men bond in a way that's beautiful beyond physical and romance love, and a nice touch to see in a black film that's almost 25 years old. Now, this film, although I seem to be gushing about it, it's littered with issues. The main one being is I'm not sure how realistic this entire situation would be. A drag queen who beats up drug dealers to save women in distress sounds like a cool LGBT comic book rather than a movie plot. As much as the light-hearted, lovable side of me did like this movie and dynamic, it's just so unrealistic. Like I said, it plays kind of like a Black Hallmark or Lifetime movie, especially with that score. The ending is very predictable. I called it the first 15 minutes in. I know my grandmother would have loved this movie if she ever saw it, and she loved Lifetime movies. Now, that's not particularly my flavor. I like gritty shit, but every now and then, I get on my warm side and get into something like this. But I just don't take them all that serious. It's a melodrama that exists to satisfy a certain demographic, and it will absolutely do that. And it even can manage to get sides like me and my feels a little bit too. I know a lot of people will watch this now and be like, yeah, this is terrible. But one thing I like that it did was shed some light on the LGBT community and how blacks responded to it. The black community has traditionally been very homophobic, but this film was showing us that black gay people are just people like anyone else. If I can't take anything away from this movie, it is that. I hope black people that were closed minded when they saw this back in the day softened up a little bit. I mean, Holiday is awesome. He's a guy anyone could get along with. There's nothing more that you can want from a lead that is supposed to play out like a superhero. That's what Holiday is, a superhero. Watch the film again and analyze it in that way, and you'll see my point if you don't. I'll say this for this film. This isn't one for cinephiles. It's not breaking the mold or doing anything crazy, but it's a decent watch with some good comedy and family moments. But I must say, this is def one for a particular type of movie watcher. If there is no reason to watch this, it's for the two leads. They bring it here and work with this quite predictable and minimal script. If you need something warm on a shitty day, this may be the movie for you. So overall, I'm going to give Holiday Heart a 7.1 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Holiday Heart review. Let me know if there's a film or topic you want me to go over. Like and subscribe. It's free. Help me out. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below for more movie content. I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.